Just waiting for this to go live. Hasn't synced yet. Give us a minute or two. Okay, looks like we're good. Yeah. All right. Good to go. It's been a long time since I've done one of these. Hello all. I have to be slightly quiet because my parents are sleeping. But yeah, hello all. Glad to be back, even if it is just a momentary sort of video. But, you know, back to discuss a lot of the stuff that's been going on in the boxing world recently. You know, I've missed out on making videos for you guys, and you know, I've been getting a few messages saying, when are you coming back? Is everything okay? I kind of just fell off the radar for a bit. I know I did the podcast on Wednesdays, but you know, apart from that, I've been, you know, quite absent. So my apologies for that. Also, my apologies if you can hear my fan heater in the background. You know, my room doesn't have any insulation in here, so it's freezing. No poster, no poster anymore, guys. So no red as well. You know, as I said, it's been I did put out a public comment on my channel. I'm not sure how many of you guys saw it, but you know, I've been really busy with you know, a multitude of different stuff, and that's kind of contributed to me not being able to make videos. So if you're watching this live and listen to this, sorry for my rant prior to the boxing. And if you're watching this when it goes up on YouTube, skip ahead, because I might be talking for another 3-4 minutes, and I know some people don't necessarily like to hear the update before the boxing. They just like to get straight to the boxing. So please skip ahead for a few minutes or two. Yeah, but I mean, going back to it, life's been getting in the way a bit. You know, I'm possibly moving home soon. You know, just that my some things in my personal life haven't been best at this present time, and you know, it's been a bit tough. You know, obviously work was going on in my house, so you know, obviously all the changes and that sort of stuff, that took a bit of time. You know, university's been kind of taken over. Final year guys, whoever in final year, shout out to you guys, and hope you smash your final year exams and coursework and all your deadlines and whatnot, and your dissertations, because damn, it's really hard. So shout out to all you guys. But enough of me going on about that. As I said, I will try and, you know, get as much content out for you guys as possible. Gossip is in the chat. Amir Khan's chin. Also, hello, mate. Thanks for that comment. Yeah, Gossip, I've actually lost a bit of weight, I'll be honest. I had a tooth taken out, as you know, from a few weeks ago, and yeah, that's been paining me. Gossip, if you want to jump on, please let me know, and I can get you on. I can send you the email. So yeah, let me know, mate. But yeah, I mean, there's been a lot. I've kind of missed out on a few things, missed out on a few videos, and kind of let's get back into the swing of things, I guess, today. You know, James DeGale, Badu Jack unification is this weekend. That's a massive fight. Pedraza versus Gervonta Davis is this weekend. I think Eubank Jr is actually on the undercard as well. He's a middleweight prospect, and he's facing a guy, Emmanuel Alim or something like that. Gossip, I'm not going to read that out, but you cheeky man, I applaud you, sir. But I hope you're doing well, and yeah, catch you Wednesday if you can't jump on or you're busy. Yeah, I mean, there's some good fights this weekend. I'm looking forward to probably the Pedraza fight mostly. That's a really good fight. There's been some talk about Burns versus Indongo in April, unification. That's a you know, that's a, no, I wouldn't say a decent fight, but you know, it's a big fight for Burns over here in the UK. I know, you know, he'll do well in the Hydra, I guess. He'll sell a fair few tickets. So you know, we could talk about that. Golovkin, Jacobs, you know, Eubank Jr, ITV pay-per-view. There's a fair few things. So let's kind of get cracking. I mean, we'll just we'll just roll with whatever we've got. And if anyone wants to call in, please do call in. If you don't, that's fine, and listen to me rant. That's fine as well. I won't be on for too long. It's slightly tied to timescale tonight, but yeah. DeGale versus Badu Jack is a fight. I don't actually know what Irish Tom looks like. Asking for a picture, I'm sure he'd be more than happy to oblige. Yeah, I'd like to see that as well. DeGale versus Jack is a decent fight. I mean, it's not a terrible fight. It's two of probably the best in the division going at it. In the unification IBF WBC, the winner's supposed to face Callum Smith. So, I mean, for me, I don't see this fight going any other way but DeGale win. DeGale's looking fantastic. I mean, condition-wise, I know he's got a new strength and conditioning coach for this fight, specifically for this fight, and he looks a lot leaner, a lot better conditioned. He just overall. Gossip, I didn't know you watched EastEnders. How charming. But yeah, I mean, DeGale just skills-wise is levels above Jack for me. I mean, Jack is a decent opponent, don't get me wrong. He's a decent fighter. He's obviously done a job on George Groves. Some people are saying George Groves won that fight. I don't believe that. I think George Groves lost that fight. Evening, Charlie. Hope you well, mate. For me, it's just, DeGale's too slick, too skilled. He's probably got a better chin. Jack's a good body puncher. And obviously, if, DeGale's been working on his conditioning, the body punches shouldn't affect him too much. If he's in slightly better condition, if he's maybe turned up how he did in the Porky Medina fight, sorry. Maybe that might affect him. But I think he's really... one of my friends is in the chat. It's definitely lit. I like that. I've been using that comment. Hello Tetley, hope you're well, mate. But yeah, I mean, DeGale's just too skilled for him. I can't see anything more than a DeGale win. It should be easy for him, easy work. But Badu Jack is there or thereabouts. Could he spring an upset? Some people say yes, and some people say they'll probably put a bit of money on Jack. Might be a bit of value there, but for me, I can't see, I can't see DeGale losing if he turns up in tip-top condition. Even if he turns up, how he did maybe in the Andre Durrell fight, he made mistakes in that fight, and he kind of won that fight with a bit in hand. To be fair, for me, some of the scorecards were close, but yeah, I mean. For me, DeGale won pretty easy. Garcia versus Latikanen, that's in a few weeks, I know. So I'm probably gonna speak about that in length in a separate video. But Garcia going off his last performance, he was decent. He wasn't spectacular, and Zlaticanin off his last performance, Zlaticanin's live in the fight. I know loads of people are taking him, they're kind of taking him for granted in this fight, but he's a decent fighter, and loads of people are underrating him in this fight. I think Garcia will probably win, but Zlaticanin definitely a live underdog. Yeah, Amir Khan's chin agrees with me. If he could see a stoppage, which is a bit surprising. I don't think DeGale's got that. I don't think I don't think he's that sort of big puncher, but I definitely think he could win quite easy on scorecards. But yeah, that's kind of that fight for me. Coming to Eubank in a second, but sorry, I'm it's been a long day. Pedraza versus Gervonta Davis. This is a good fight, actually, a really, really good fight. I think it's going to be a solid fight. I mean, Davis, for me, he's got really fast hands, but he reminds me a bit of Adrian Broner, to be honest. He does remind me a bit of Broner. I don't know how good he actually is, because he hasn't really faced the opponents that Pedraza's faced. Pedraza's obviously faced Klimov, and the Cherry, Stephen Smith. So we've seen a fair bit of, Pedraza, and I think Pedraza is really underrated by a lot of the boxing analysts and pundits. He's a really, really, really solid fighter. But for me, I'm going to probably have to go with Pedraza in this fight. I'll be honest, just on top level. I have. Do you know what? I haven't been busy painting. We've had some painters around, but as you can see, missing the poster, and obviously the colours changed. Could be moving home soon, so that's kind of the reason for the change in scenery. But yeah, I mean, for me, just Pedraza, I think world level experience. He's a top fighter for me. I think he's probably number 2 or 3 in the division behind Lomachenko. But for me, Davis has got fast hands and he can clip him. He seems, he can bang a bit, it looks like. So if he catches Pedraza, a few times clean, it'll be interesting to see how Pedraza kind of takes a sting of the punches if he can withstand Davis's sort of onslaught. And Davis is, relatively smart. He hasn't got the best of footwork, but he does come in at awkward angles. I think he's a southpaw, if I'm correct. He can make it awkward. So this is a real interesting fight, and I think this this is probably one of the fights of this month, to be honest. I know there's Santa Cruz, Frampton, but in terms of just a skill level and explosiveness, it has a bit of everything. I think it will be a rival to the sort of bigger fights. Davis, I think, definitely beats Stephen Smith. Stephen Smith is a decent operator, but it's tough because I know people were saying, "Oh, Stephen Smith has no chance against Pedraza," that sort of stuff. But for me, Stephen Smith was really live in that Pedraza fight up until the knockdown in round 8 or 9. I can't remember off the top of my head which round it was, but it was quite late. But yeah, I'm with you guys. I'm picking Pedraza. I think it's going to be close. Some people were saying Pedraza comfortably. Pedraza schools Davis, but I think it will be quite close. Maybe 8-4. I think close but comfortable enough for Pedraza to win. But it's on a card where there's a couple of Mayweather fighters, Badu Jack, Gervonta Davis. So possibility of a robbery on the cards. But we'll see, I guess. Lara versus Foreman. That's a bit of a joke of a fight, to be honest. Aristani Lara by ease, I guess, is my pick in that fight. I'm just waiting for the big guns to get it on after the Charlo sort of Williams fight. I'm waiting for another big fight in the 154 division because that's a massive, division. It's got some good fighters in there as well. I know Canelo's moving up, but there are some solid fighters there. Demetrius Andrade is supposed to face Jack Colsey soon for the 3rd time. I think it's been rescheduled, so hopefully that fight comes off. Have Andrade winning that fight. But yeah, Pedraza and DeGale are my picks for this weekend. Kitrov I probably pick as well. I haven't seen much of his opponent, to be honest. But Kitrov, he hasn't looked great in his fights, but I'd expect him to get the job done if they're matching him against a guy that doesn't really know anyone. Yeah, I think Hatley can win that fight. Jamel, I don't rate as high as his brother. I think Jamal is the one with the A in his name, the big puncher. He's a really solid guy. Jamel, I don't really rate him. I think was it Jackson? John Jackson, was it John Jackson? But yeah, the guy who got knocked out by Andy Lee, he was doing a real number on the younger Charlo, and I think if he fights like that against a decent level opponent, I think he's really going to struggle. And if Kell Brook moved up to 154, I think Kell Brook could beat the younger Charlo, the lighter punching Charlo. I think he's bang average, to be honest, and I think he's probably the weakest champion in that division. Broner versus Granados has been made. Yeah. Broner, I'd expect to win that fight, but Granados fought pretty decently against, what was his name, Amir Imam. So, he's coming off a win, but he's been fairly inactive. So is Broner. So not a particularly exciting fight, but that's a few months down the line. Bang average is harsh. I mean, I just don't rate him in comparison to the other guys at 154. I think he's not good enough. I mean, he's simply not good enough. I mean, if he fought like that against Liam Smith, he'd make Liam Smith look world class. If you're considering he's a top level operator, you say Liam Smith is fantastic. I think. I also think Liam Williams would actually beat him as well. I think Liam Williams is very, very skilled. I think he would beat the lighter punching Charlo as well. Amir Khan's chin agrees with me that he's the weakest champion at 154. Burns Indongo is supposedly on the way for April. Indongo's coming off a good win against. There's so much been going on, and I've picked. I've just picked a day that I'm completely exhausted. So my apologies. It is definitely my fault, but yeah. Troyanovsky, and he's obviously coming off a first round knockout. They're talking Troyanovsky rematch, Troyanovsky retiring after, but it was an interesting fight. I mean, Indongo probably wasn't supposed to pose any problems for Troyanovsky. He was supposed to be a routine sort of defense. But, he's obviously done a number on him. He caught him with a fantastic shot. And obviously he's decked him. He picked up the IBF and the IBO light welterweight titles. And obviously unification with Burns possibly, that's good money for him considering, he's gone over probably short money. And I wouldn't say short money. I'm not sure exactly how much, but I think Troyanovsky's promoter is Ryabinski, the same guy who promotes Povetkin. So, he might have got a decent-ish purse. But, he'll be getting some good exposure, I guess, over in the UK, if it is held in the UK or Glasgow, wherever it is held. So, it's not it's not the greatest of fights, let's put it that way. Obviously, Terence Crawford holds WBC, WBO belts at that weight. So he's kind of the man to beat, and obviously he's a pound for pound sort of star. Burns has obviously already lost him, and he lost pretty convincingly, but he didn't disgrace himself against Crawford. I'd say those people, would say, oh, he scored him, blah blah. But I think for Burns, for what he was at the time, I didn't think he'd done terribly. To be honest, he did okay for himself. But I would not like to see him in a rematch with Crawford. I think he'd probably get stopped, to be honest. And I just don't think he's. This fight is a weird one. I don't know who to pick because Indongo, I haven't really seen too much of him. Burns, I don't know. The DeRocco fight kind of flattered to deceive for me. I just, I don't think, that fight. He didn't deserve to become a world champion in that fight, and for me, Kirill Relic beat him as well. And Kirill Relic is, a relative novice in the game. He fought, silly at times, and he kind of threw the fight away. I think, even though I still think he won the fight. But for me, it is what it is. If Burns can win, well done to him. If Indongo wins, it's a decent story for him. He picks up 3 belts if the fight gets made. Jonathan Guzman lost his O over the New Year. Yes, I saw that. I didn't see the fight. I know it was on a sort of bumper Japanese sort of card. He lost to Oguni, I think. Oguni. So he lost his IBF belt. But, what can you say? Obviously, he's a big knockout artist. And he probably, didn't. He came into the fight thinking he was going to just ball him over, and didn't really work for him. So maybe it's a valuable lesson for him to learn. There's some other fights. Naoya Inoue obviously fought over Christmas. Obviously going back with us, we don't want to go too far back to the AJ. Obviously, briefly we could talk about AJ versus Klitschko. I know the fight's been made. Loads of people have been talking about this and that with Klitschko and AJ, and there's been so much stuff in the news. Loads of my friends who are casuals, they love AJ and they want to get tickets and that sort of stuff. Fortunately, I can't get tickets. I've got exams around that season. One of my cousins actually wants to go, but I told him, I can't. The tickets will be sold out anyway. I think the tickets sold out pretty quick, and such is life. It'll bring a massive sort of media following to. It'll be an event because it's at Wembley Stadium. You probably have 80,000, maybe even surpassing Carl Froch. I hope so. So we don't have to hear Carl Froch saying, "Oh, did you know I did 80,000 at Wembley?" I'm pretty sick of hearing that, to be honest. But I just think with AJ and Klitschko, it'll go from strength to strength in the media. Loads of sort of coverage on it, IFL and various other sort of outlets. Yeah, I know. Gossip. One of the tickets I think is about 160 each. So and they're not the bumper seats. Let's put it that way. They're kind of in the middle. I got 15 quid tickets to watch England versus Chile, and let's say I got pretty good seats for 15 quid. Let's say that I won't be paying a penny for that fight because I won't be paying pay-per-view, just like I won't be paying pay-per-view for Chris Eubank Jr. versus Reynolds Quinlan, or as Gossip likes to call him, Ronaldo Quinlan, which I find quite funny. But my terrible jokes. I mean, the fight's obviously been moved location, and as we know, it's about $12.95, so almost 13 quid pay-per-view price. And it's just a bit of a joke, to be honest. I know there's a few fights that have been added on the undercard. Ryder versus Adam Etches, and I forgot the other one. But I probably have to. David Price versus Christian Hamer. I was watching Gossip's video earlier, actually. But I mean, for me, if David Price has any sort of semblance of a boxing brain, that's an easy win for David Price. Ryder versus Etches is a bit closer. They're kind of too fringe. I wouldn't say that fringe British. To put them in the British middleweight scene is pretty poor because there's other, British or Irish middleweights I'd probably pick above them. Conrad Cummings obviously had a bit of a controversial loss recently against Ronnie Mittag. For me, probably Cummings maybe edged that fight. Billy Joe Saunders obviously world champ. Chris Eubank Jr. is there. Some of the guys are obviously above sort of British level, but they're just not good enough. Ryder and Etches to kind of compete with the other guys in sort of the British middleweight scene. Some guys are obviously talking about David Price. I'm picking Price, but I don't know whether it's a smart, it's a smart pick. He's so defensively dodgy, and with that chin and those whiskers, I don't know, mate. I'll be honest. He's can't trust him. Let's put it that way. Hamer, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he wins. I think Gossip probably put it right in his sort of review over the fight being made. Is Hamer is an easy opponent if Price wants it to be easy. Price, he's going to use that pawing jab, and he's been doing that, and Pezshar is the Czech security guard, if I'm correct. He was pushing him back. He was pushing David Price back, and I just David Price's gas tank is awful as well. Amir Khan's chin is picking Hamer. Yeah, I mean, do you know what? It's just David Price is a liability. Let's put it that way. He's a lost cause, I think, and you just can't trust him at this, at this sort of level. And if he gets stopped by Hamer, he needs to, kind of call it a day. I think if he's really struggles with Hamer, he needs to reconsider his ambitions because, every time he stepped up, Tony Thompson twice, Erkan anyone else. I mean, there's Andre Parla. Is it Parla? He gave him problems. So there's so many people that have given him problems that he probably shouldn't have got problems from, considering his natural attributes. And Price, Price maybe wins, but I guess we'll see. It's a bit of a dodgy one with him. As I said, rider etches. They're not going to hold a candle to the other sort of middleweights. I'd even pick someone like Tommy Langford to beat probably both of them. I'll be honest. They're not really up to much, and this is kind of just to see. Yeah, and obviously I'm coming back to the Eubank sort of situation. I know there's actually a lot of chat about the Eubanks at the moment. I mean, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if it does between 50 and 100K, to be honest. ITV, they haven't really promoted it too much, but there's so much interest in Chris Eubank Jr. I mean, as I said, some of my mates there. I didn't actually see Langford versus Cunningham made, so I wasn't. I'd probably pick Cunningham in that fight, to be honest. Langford is decent, but Cunningham was actually very, very smart against Agogo. I know Agogo is pretty damn awful, but he looked like he had the making of a decent fighter, to be honest. I wouldn't pick against Cunningham in that fight, to be honest. I think he can do a number on Langford. Sheedy, I heard Sam Sheedy was actually fighting for the Commonwealth as well, to be honest. He lost to Langford recently, if I'm correct, or memory serves me correct. But yeah, Eubank, just 50 to 100, definitely. I mean, as I said, so many of my friends are casuals, and they always go, "Oh, Chris Eubank Jr., Anthony Joshua," and they all talk about these sort of guys. There's so much interest in them that I think it'd be ignorant of us boxing fans to not think it might do 50 to 100K, maybe just over 100. It's crazy to think that he's fighting Reynolds Quinlan, who's fought absolutely nobody and holds an IBO super middleweight world title or world title belt. It's actually crazy to think, but the bigger question is, will he go down to middleweight? Billy Joe Saunders is there. Canelo's obviously been made mandatory for Billy Joe Saunders. He has to fight Canelo and Avantil Katzide, I think he is. So he has to fight two mandatories. And Billy Joe Saunders, let's put it this way, if he fights the way he fought against Artur Akavov against Canelo, I don't want to see that fight, or I don't want to see the ending of that fight, because it's not going to be a pretty sight. Eubank's first defense for Vijay Singh. To be honest, Vijay Singh's doing well for himself out in India, so he's doing what he needs to do, and he's got a massive following there. He's a celebrity there, so yeah, I don't think we'll want to put him in with Eubank. But the curious case of Eubank is, you never know what's going to go on with Chris Eubank Jr. He's just, or Chris or English, or Chris Eubank Sr., whatever you want to call him. They're just so eccentric, and obviously he was out over Christmas, partying with Jamie Foxx and David Hay, and all the Twitter sort of stuff. But yeah, it was just. Warren claimed Quinlan ducked Singh for the Asia Pacific title. Oh gosh, I mean, the belt situation is an absolute farce, isn't it? Though, and it's always WBO, isn't it? It's just pathetic. It's just embarrassing. Oh. Coppen says, when are the other Eubanks turning pro? Which Eubanks do you mean? I know he has a strange sort of son, senior, in Nathaniel Wilson. And obviously he has a cousin, I think, Chris Eubank Jr., called Harlem Eubank, if I'm correct, but I'm not sure. But yeah, Tetley's probably put it right. The wonderful world of the Eubanks, certainly. Let's say on one of my social media outlets, I follow this lady or girl, if you want to call her, but and she was having dinner or lunch with Eubank, and he was having his typical rant. And I was just like, how can anyone sit with this man while he's just ranting about goodness knows what? He's just, it's crazy. Crazy with Eugene Eubank, Seb Eubank. All the Eubanks are coming into the chat now. So I saw the poster, Amir Khan's chin. Do you know what? We've given Chris Eubank Jr. English. We've given them enough airtime. I think it's time to move on now. But definitely a popular man. Love him or hate him. Let's put it that way. There's a few other stuff that I kind of want to touch on. Not too many. Golovkin versus Jacobs is made. I don't know your thoughts on that, guys, but for me, GGG wins that within 6-7 rounds. I just don't think Jacobs has got the power to sort of live with Golovkin. Also, if you look kind of historically and look at Dmitry Pirog, he done a real number on. He done a real number on Danny Jacobs. Obviously, Danny Jacobs said he had some problems in the lead up to the fight, but he really iced Danny Jacobs. And if that's happening from Dmitry Pirog, Dmitry Pirog is he was a pretty decent fighter back in his day. But if that's happening by Pirog, I don't really want to see for Danny Jacobs' health what will happen when Golovkin stops him or KOs him. Lee Selby on Frampton undercard. Yes, I heard that he's actually headlining a Showtime Extreme card. So Frampton, Santa Cruz, and Zlaticanin Garcia are kind of like on the main card, and Showtime Extreme is just like before that. It's a separate sort of card and or separate part of the broadcast. And Lee Selby will be headlining that against Jonathan Victor Barros. I expect Selby to win that as well. Yeah, Louis J. Eubank Sr. is a genius. He has the boxing fans talking about them constantly. Yeah, I mean, he gets his son and himself in the limelight, and can't really complain too much. He's definitely done some great PR for himself and his son. Let's put it that way. He's got them out and got people talking about them. Amir Mansour versus Kaufman. Kaufman had a good performance. Not the last time, but the time before against Chris Arreola. Some people thought he'd done enough to win. He got a knockdown, I think, in that fight as well. He's not a terrible fighter, but he's a bit, out of shape for me. Amir Mansour is about 42, 43, but I don't, I think Gossip was saying he's had a fair few wars. I wouldn't say that, obviously he got stopped by Brazil, but I think he was probably on his way to stopping Brazil if he didn't get, he's obviously missing the bottom or top of his mouth guard. So, that kind of made him bite into his tongue, obviously, to try and, evade a punch. Oh, he's 45, okay. I have to check that out. But, yeah, I just think Mansour will probably be a bit too much for Kaufman on the night. But, whether he goes, further past the Brazil or Jared Washington level will be interesting. Mayweather Sr. said he would train Ronda Rousey. Yeah, I mean, Mayweather Sr. is a bit of a eccentric one as well. He's a bit weird. Probably I'd rather have Roger, but maybe that's just me. Uncle Roger. Yeah, I mean, if you guys have anything else you want to talk about, please put it in the chat. We've been rolling for about half hour or so. I think I've covered the majority of things that need to be covered. I don't know what else there really is to discuss. I mean, obviously, we've kind of discussed the main sort of topics. I'm just checking if there's anything else. That, Wilder, O'Hara Davis. I mean, those sort of Wilder's obviously facing Andrzej Wawczyk. I'm not sure, but he's fighting a Polish fighter, and yeah, I mean, Wilder should win that fight. It's pretty awful fight. Don't really, I don't really see any point in that fight. Put it that way. Crawler versus Linares. I know that was made obviously a few weeks ago now, or a week or two. Linares on points again for me. I wouldn't be surprised if Linares gets a stoppage if he's fully healthy. His right hand's good. My face looks like toes. Thank you very much, mate. Very insightful for that comment. Don't really care about your opinion, so you can do one, mate. Yeah, I don't know why they're doing a Crawler Linares rematch. I'll be honest. For me, Linares is just by far the classier operator. What else? There was something else. There was one other thing. I'm not sure. Yeah, sorry, O'Hara Davis versus Derry Matthews. I think that's been announced today. For me, it's kind of a pointless fight, to be honest. Derry's moving up to 140, but Derry is basically at the end of his career. Sorry, and O'Hara Davis, obviously, he's been talking smack, and it's a bit silly from him. Sorry, but he's obviously talked his way into this fight. He should win. He had a good win last time out over Andreas Scarpa, so he's obviously picked up the WBC silver belt, quite high up in the rankings. I don't think he was against Crawford, but yeah, not really interested in that fight. I think Davis will probably win that fight pretty easy, to be honest. If Derry didn't look anything good. He didn't look anything good under. Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with the comments. Yeah, he didn't look any good against Luke Campbell, so I wouldn't expect too much. Griffo, you've got a boxing fight soon. Good luck, mate. I hope all the best for you, champ. Honestly, just I hope it goes well for you, and just don't take too much damage. Just knock the guy out. That's my advice. Who would I like to see Luis Ortiz fight next? Luis Ortiz is a tough one. No worries, mate. Just make sure you Is it Griffo? Is it a white collar or is it a pro fight? Just wondering, mate. If you could put your response, I'd be interested to hear that. Luis Ortiz, he didn't look great against Dave Allen, and I think Dave Allen done really, really well in that fight. So, yeah, I mean, I'd probably like to see him face a top 10 opponent. Do you know what? If he could climb, I know he's WBA mandatory, but if he could climb the WBO rankings, maybe a Huey Fury fight for a mandatory position, that would be a good fight. If he wants to sort of give up his WBA situation. Oh, you've been training for the last year. Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, best of luck. Honestly, let me know how it goes. I'll be interested to get you on the channel if you're available. Yeah, going back to Ortiz, I think Parker is a realistic sort of option if you can get down that route. But obviously, it looks like he's gonna go down a WBA route. Hearn will try to try to force Hay versus Ortiz, so Joshua can dodge them. Yeah, I mean, I don't look at. Thanks, Griff. I really, really appreciate that, mate. Just let's try and just grow the channel, mate. I've been away for a while, so trying to get back on it. It's been a really, really busy time at the moment. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one. I think Joshua kind of want to face both of them. To be honest, obviously he's going up against Klitschko, so he's obviously shown he's not scared. But I think Eddie Hearn doesn't want to lose a massive investment in Anthony Joshua. So you might be onto something there, forcing Hay and Ortiz to fight. So Joshua, he can get Joshua away from them and maybe face just one or the other. Duhaupas versus Takam, that's a very good fight. Duhaupas I actually felt very sorry for against Povetkin. Povetkin is a absolute cheat and needs to be banned from the sport, if not banned for life. Conor Benn versus Eubank. Conor Benn has no business being at 147. For me, Conor Benn should be at 135, if anything. And some of the 135 guys make him look small. So I hope someone tells him that he's not a 147 fighter and he needs to move down. Yeah, there was another comment. Price versus Hamer. I've spoken about that, Luke, mate. If you go back, if you've just caught up now, my apologies. I did speak about it before. I think I'm picking Price in that fight, but very, very dodgy. Very dodgy. Can't if I was anyone, I wouldn't put money, even though Price is probably, is what it is with Price. Yeah, Eubank is getting nowhere. His dad is. I've seen a fair few funny memes on Twitter. So and it's kind of them in the talk show, and the mic gets held to Eubank Jr.'s mouth, and he goes, "They go, anything you would like to say?" And he goes, "My dad is ruining my career," and kind of, he doesn't seem like the biggest of sort of horses, let's put it that way, but Eubank Senior definitely does, and yeah, it's just dodgy. O'Hara Davis versus Derry Matthews. Not sure if you just caught up now, but I picked Davis in that fight. Derry Matthews for me is absolutely done. Conor Benn is only getting hype because of his name, probably true. Fury is going to face. Do you know what? If Tyson Fury comes back, he might end up facing someone on, obviously he's WBO sort of champion emeritus or something like that. Could go down that route, but you know what? I'd probably see him against. I see him against one of the top sort of fighters: Wilder, Joshua, Ortiz, one of those guys. And I think, it's very, very possible if he does come back in 2017, he'll be facing one of the top guys in the sport at heavyweight. And I do hope to see him back very soon, because he's an entertaining character for the sport, and he definitely makes the heavyweight division a lot more brighter. Let's put it that way. Eubank Jr. saw a total wally. His dad sent him from GGG. I don't disagree. Let's put it that way. Do you think GGG Canelo will ever be made? It's a tough one, because Canelo, Canelo, I don't know if he wants to fight. It seems like he does, but I just don't think Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy want to fight for him, just in case he takes another loss and his credibility takes a hit. That's very, very possible. So yeah, I just think at this moment in time, I don't think it will happen, but I guess we'll wait and see. He's obviously WBO mandatory for Billy Joe Saunders' belt. If he beats him, there's potential there for him to. There's potential there for him to, so for him to beat one of the, GGG, or if Jacobs wins that fight, whoever it is, he's got potential there. But at this moment in time, do I see the fight getting made? No, I don't. I won't be watching Eubank interview on good, GMB tomorrow morning because I don't want to have to pay an appearance fee. Some of the stuff Eubank comes out with is a joke, I'll be honest. Does anyone beat GGG at middleweight? No. As for me, not anyone at this moment in time. Canelo has the best chance, but that's if Canelo gets in a ring with him, in terms of just giving him a good fight, I think. So, not at this moment in time does GGG lose to anyone at middleweight. Middleweight division is paper thin in terms of top fighters. Fury is one of the best heavyweights for me. He'll school Joshua, I think, yes. So, not many fans like that notion. I put that out a lot to my mates, but they think Joshua would probably KO Fury. I just don't think that. But yeah, that's kind of my opinion. Tony Bellew is going to KO David Haye. I don't think I'd go for that. Let's put it that way. Willie Monroe being GGG in a rematch, no, don't see that. Rigo versus Lomachenko at catch weight this year, possibly. Possibly. I think it's a bit too far now since that Lomachenko has gone up to 130 and Rigo's still at 122. So if it was at 126 and 122, I think it could be manageable. But I think that the sort of weight differentiation is a bit too wide now. South Star Online saying Fury get hit by Joshua and the schooling ends there. I guess we'll wait and see if that fight ever happens. Haye at 1-3 or Haye is 1-5 just to win. If you're a heavy gambler, that's not a bad bet. It would be the greatest moment of 2017 if Bellew knocked Haye out. Nothing could top that. Yeah. Fair play to yourself. Charlie Cutting on a serious note, Kirkland versus Cotto's pay-per-view on HBO. That's embarrassing, I know. Cotto's also come out and said he wants Canelo to be his last opponent. He thinks he could beat him, but I think Cotto just needs to retire now. Yeah, Haye is. I'm going on. I'm betting on Haye. I reckon. Easy win for Haye. Bellew, should stay at cruiserweight for me. But yeah, Conor McGregor versus Mayweather. I think I'm a McGregor fan. I actually watch a lot of MMA as well, but I think Floyd would do him in a boxing match quite comprehensively. Let's put it that way. But it was. That's if it ever happens. I don't think it will ever happen. Let's put it that way. But yeah, if it does happen, Floyd via ease, I think. Haye beats AJ. Yes, he does. I think Louis J. Yes, he does. AJ, he's just a bit robotic for me. But yeah, I think Haye is explosive. He's quick. Even at his advanced age, I think he could do a number on AJ. Yeah, I do think Errol Spence will beat most welterweights out there. I think he's a really, really, really solid operator, but he hasn't really fought anyone. I know he's fought Chris Algieri, Phil LaGreco, those sort of guys, but I'm really waiting for him to step up against a legitimate top 10 fighter and prove his worth. But Errol Spence does look like, as his nickname says, the truth. And he looks a serious operator at 147. Why is Ortiz ranked at number 1? Sanctioning bodies like to make money off someone else. He knocked out Leonard Bundu, yes, but Bundu is 42, 43. I can't really, I can't really envisage him doing doing that to maybe a Keith Thurman or someone like that. No, maybe not Keith Thurman. Someone like a top operator. It's hard. I don't know, because with Errol Spence, I just haven't seen him fight. Obviously Bundu. He's fought Bundu and Chris Algieri, but those guys aren't, a Cal Brook, a Keith Thurman, a Sean Porter. Those guys are elite level guys compared to the other guys. They're certainly not elite in terms of the sport, but in terms of the division, they're the best guys in the division. And Errol Spence has yet to face that at this moment in time. He's a very good prospect. Well, he's a contender, but he's definitely a very good operator. Let's put it that way. Victor Ortiz versus Rios, February 4th. Some talk about some other stuff. Tyson Fury still the best around. Dowland plays. Thanks, mate. Don't really care about your opinion. Sorry. Amir Khan, yes, I do see him returning, but it's tough. I don't know who I see him returning against, because he's talking about the top guys, and if he really returns against the top guys, then it's tough. Because if he takes a loss, it's game over for him. Joe, I did talk about the Eubanks. I don't really care about whoever's posting negative stuff. I don't really care, to be honest. So you can leave, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, Joe, I did talk about the Eubanks. So if you're just joining late and you can catch it while you're on YouTube, just watch it. Is it only me? Eubank has some natural attributes. He could give GGG a bit of a fight, but eventually I think GGG would catch up with him and stop him. But yeah, guys, that's kind of me done. I've gone on for about just under an hour, so yeah, that's kind of me done tonight. I really appreciate a lot of the positive feedback I've been getting in the comment section, and whoever's posting negative stuff, you're more than welcome to leave. Don't come onto my channel. Don't bother the people that enjoy the boxing. People it's it is what it is. It's just I'm not really bothered. Funto, Pacquiao, I think some people are saying facing Jeff Horn and that sort of stuff, but for me it's I think Pacquiao needs to he should retire, I think. But if he's making money, you can't really blame him. So best of luck to Manny. I hope that answers your question, Funto Adi Dion. Tetley, thanks very much. Charlie, thank you very much. Louis J, yeah, definitely catch you on Wednesday. Box Britain, there's been a few guys, but we don't let them bring us down. We're a force, and they can post as much crap as they want. I don't really give a toss, to be honest. So yeah. Anyway, take care, guys, and I'll leave you. I'll leave it there. Thank you very much, and yeah, take care. Peace.